What's going on, Site Perspectives? GeoFox. Donald J. Trump, President Donald J. Trump, and again, the Epstein files. You know, it's a lot of we told you so moments happening, that have been going on. But this is not really the time to really be like, I told you so. It's just, I'm glad that people are becoming more aware and recognizing and seeing for themselves. If that means you're becoming more woke, well then, hey, I'm glad that you are becoming more woke. It's a lot of moments where I'm just like, wow, people really, first of all, you know I'm about to go there. The scapegoating that has been done on the transgender community, the drag community, the queer community, the LGBTQIA plus community. We've been scapegoated all these years. Oh, they're the groomers, they're the predators, they're perverted, they're sexual abusers, they're the problem, they're the sickness, they're the problem, they're the ilk of society. Whole time, it's typically cisgendered people committing these horrible acts. It's typically cisgendered heterosexuals. It's typically cisgendered males in particular, but cisgendered women also participate in the same janky shit. And if we look at the typical identity and demographics of who's committing the most sexual abuse, child trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking, molestation, rape, sexual abuse, sexual assault, violence in general, but it's typically white cis het males, cisgender males across the board, regardless of race or ethnicity. But if we're looking at it from the top demographic, it's typically a white cis male, a white cis het male, and yet they're always pointing the finger at trans folks, trans women, trans men, trans masculine, trans feminine, drag, people who perform drag queens, drag kings, the LGBTQIA plus community, the queer community, the alphabet gang warrior community. They're always saying it's us. And these are a bunch of rich white men, white cis het men that are, and it isn't just them, right? There are different demographics of people, because obviously Epstein's partner in crime is a cis woman, a cis het woman, a white cis het woman. You know, there's so many ways of breaking it down. But it's just like, they're sitting up here with the billionaire predators club, and just, they've got so much money and power and ego, and just don't give a damn, and lacking empathy, and just horrible, to the point that, you know, other people might collect shoes or vinyl. I collect humans and buy and sell and trade human beings, because me and my friends don't have anything else to do. I guess we could buy another yacht or an island, you know, or cut Medicaid and Medicare from millions of people and watch hundreds of millions, tens of millions of people, and watch people suffer. Or we're just going to go and do some human and sex trafficking with my other billionaire buddies. Like, that is the sick, grotesque-ish that we're dealing with here. And this is what's crazy, is back in 2017, during President Donald J. Trump's first term as president, okay, because he was elected the first time, November of 2016. You called us snowflakes. I am a proud snowflake. I don't mind being the sensitive, emotionally snowflake who gives a damn about others outside of myself, right? I don't mind being that, but okay, I'll be your snowflake. You called us snowflakes, okay? Then miraculously, not even a full, what was that, 8-9 months later, Epstein dies miraculously of suicide, miraculously. Like I said, 8 to 9 months after who got elected to being president? Oh, okay. And then somehow, this entire time, this is what I mean by people are out of control. You know, y'all want to get on the trans folks and the intersex folks and the women and the queers and the black and the brown and Hispanic and the Latino and everything and whoever you don't like, whatever demographic or group you don't like, it's them. Meanwhile, this man is sitting up here. He done spent this whole time leading up to this. Where's the Epstein files? Release the Epstein files. They're covering up for the Epstein files this whole time. The Democrats are doing the Pizzagate, and they're also child molesters and doing, sacrificing to keep children and this, that, and the third. Right? This was everything that was said. There was I'm going to put information in the description box to back up what I'm talking about. Like, these are all of the allegations that were literally said. Okay? So all this is being said. Whole time, there's numerous pictures and footage of various people, not just President Trump. There's other folks there, like there's Clinton, there's a lot of people that were hanging out or knew of or were friends or associated with Epstein, okay? So it isn't just President Trump. I'm not saying it's just him. I'm just calling out the obvious bullshit. Because, really? All during Biden and Harris presidency, their first term together, 2020 to 2024, that was all the Republicans and the Trump supporters and the megas and the conservatives and just anybody, really. A lot of folks were on that, right? But okay, now that, you're in office and you said you were going to do this and you're going to do that, notice it took him no time to get rid of health care, okay, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP benefits, laying off thousands of federal workers across the country, issuing in tariffs on top of the high inflation, on top of the fact that our wages and salaries do not match at all. Not even, it's ridiculous. Most of us should be getting paid at least at anywhere between 30 to 50% more by now to keep up with the cost of living and inflation. We should be getting cost of living adjustments at least once a year, if not twice a year. But at least once, come on. But doesn't have time to worry about that, right? He can do all that crazy jank shit that's screwing us all over and raising taxes on the most poor, the poorest of the poor and working class and middle class people. And let's be honest, most of us are working poor. We're either poor, working poor, or working class. Most of us are not middle class, okay? Because middle class, and I've said this before, when you're middle class, you're able to have a full-time job. Yeah, you might work overtime here and there, but it's not something that you're doing on a consistent basis, all the time, right? You might work overtime October through November or October through December, for example. You might do a 8-week work like that because you're preparing for the holidays and you want extra so you can take care of your family and meet needs, right? But you're not doing that 12 months out the year on top of needing a second job and a part-time and a side hustle and donating plasma. That's not middle class. That's working poor, working class when you have to work like that. Middle class is you got one full-time job, you can pay your bills, you might work over here and there, like I said, maybe up to 8 weeks out of the 52, but it ain't every week, right? You can pay your bills, you can put money in savings, retirement, investing, and guess what? Holy shit, you still have extra money on top of that you can go and buy things that you want sometimes, or go on a vacation, or go to a concert and have fun. That's middle class. A lot of us are working anywhere from 12 to 18-hour days. Some people work well over 18 hours a day. I definitely, on average, my average day is anywhere between 12 to 14. On the more stressful, strenuous, like last week, I was pretty much doing 16-hour days for 4 days straight. So 4 days straight, what am I talking about? For a week and a half, 2 weeks straight. And that was but on a normal day, it's about 12 to 14. So that's why I'm like, we're not middle class, we're working class. But anyways, all that just to say, he can find a way to raise our taxes and we make the least, but he can give tax benefits and cuts to the rich and the wealthy. Again, the Billionaire Predators Club, they all get to get the benefits because they're in cahoots with your president. And not just your president. It's other corporations and business owners and billionaires that are in cahoots with Congress folks, senators, judges, you name it. So it ain't just President Trump, right? I want to make sure we get that, because I get on here, well, you're a Democrat. And, well, I do typically vote for Democrats, and I see myself, I used to be a proud card-carrying Democrat. This is very true. But over the past 10 years or so, 8, 9 really, but definitely the past 10, I started moving more to independence. I see myself as a left-leaning democratic socialist, left-leaning liberal. That's me. But yeah, you're right. But I call out everyone's bullshit, though. That's just it. Like, that's why I'm saying it ain't just President Trump, right? You got people across the board that need to be held accountable. Okay. And like I said, if you release the files, why in the hell did we have Congress folks specifically for the Republican side? I'm just being real. Democrats have screwed up. This is very true. I call their shit out as well. But when we look at who just recently voted to basically, originally they wanted to vote to block the Epstein files from being released, it was mostly the Republican elected officials on the Republican side, because Donald Trump ran as a Republican, even though I don't really see him as a Republican. But that's a whole nother video. But the point is, why are you trying to keep those files away? What is it in there that you don't want us to see? Even though you initially were the one calling for the files to be released the entire time former President Joe Biden and former Vice President Kamala Harris was in office, their first term, 2020 through 2024. So it's just wow, right?